I'd like to show you something if I can. Okay. I went to ChatGPT just before we started, and I asked this question, just for the hell of it, to see what it would say. What's the percentage of people who get hired through networking? Because somebody had asked this question in a comment on one of my videos. And here, as you can see, it says, studies suggest that 70 to 85% of jobs are filled through networking rather than traditional applications. So this is instead of the job being posted, okay? So these jobs are not posted. Additionally, around 80% of job openings are never publicly advertised, meaning they are filled through referrals and internal connections. While the exact percentage varies by industry and country, networking remains one of the most effective ways to secure a job. Now, why am I saying this to you? Okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, let's be clear. A lot of recruiters don't talk about this. As you can see, the reality is that most people don't go through recruiters to get a job. They talk to the hiring manager directly. And just so everyone knows, the hiring manager is the boss, okay? So if you get a job, the hiring manager is the person that you will report to, okay? They become your boss, right? That's a different thing from the recruiter. The recruiter is not your boss. The recruiter is someone that's brought in to help with hiring, to help with finding candidates for the job, and their background is in HR. That means like labor laws, employment standards, how to do recruiting, stuff like that, how to find candidates that have certain requirements, how to read resumes, all that kind of stuff. And that's all they do 9 to 5. They help find candidates and they interview candidates, and that's what they're always doing. Okay, so that's a recruiter. The hiring manager has nothing to do with filling a job. That's not what they do. They're the boss. So if you get a job, you report to them. They're your boss, right? Now, when people are talking about this, filled through networking, okay, I just want everyone to understand, this is not talking to recruiters, okay? This is talking to the hiring managers, right? The hiring managers are the ones that have the power to hire, right? They're the ones that decide, I need a new person in my work group. And I've gotten approval from my higher-ups that I've been given a budget and I've been given approval to go out and hire another person for my work group. So I'm going to do that. If I want to, I cannot do that if I feel we can handle the work. But I've decided to do that. And I decide what skills they should have. I decide who we pick, right? Because ultimately that person is going to report to me, right? And I want to make sure that we can work well together, okay? So that's what the hiring manager is. That's who they are, right? So they're not an expert at like finding candidates that would have a list of requirements. They are asked to write a job description. They are asked to write the requirements. What do you need in a person? And then they give those requirements to a recruiter. And the recruiter is a grunt. The recruiter goes out and their job is to find a list of candidates that has these requirements. They don't write the requirements. They're given the requirements. They have to now go out and find candidates that meet these requirements. That's all a recruiter does. A lot of times a recruiter is an entry-level job. Okay, so when we talk about networking, like all this business here, we're talking about networking with hiring managers, okay? So it's not about like contacting recruiters, okay? That's not what this is referring to. Now, some people recommend you contact recruiters. That's fine. I don't, okay? I think it's a waste of time. I think there are far more productive, forthcoming things you can do than contact recruiters. You could certainly contact hiring managers, do informational interviews, reach out directly to organizations. There's all kinds of stuff that can generate all kinds of opportunities. And I've done those things throughout my career, and they've always been very, very productive. But the catch is you need to know what to do. You need to know who to talk to, what to say to them, what's reasonable and what's unreasonable, right? A lot of people kind of don't get that because they've never been introduced to this before. So they would like contact someone, they say like, dude, give me a job. And it's like, no, I don't know who you are. No, that's not how this works, right? It's a little more sophisticated than that. And to give you an idea, the simplest possible thing you can do that's effective is to contact people high up in companies in your hometown and send out a very short message just saying, hey, I'm here. I do this. I solve this problem. If ever you're looking for someone who can do that for you, please let me know, because I'd love to work for your company. I know a bit about you guys. I know you do great work. That's all. Have yourself a great day. There you go. Now most people that would go to, they're not looking to hire someone like you just right now, right? But a few of them, they will be, right? It's statistical probability. And it's a ratio. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 1%. But just like you can apply for like 800 jobs in a day by blasting out the same resume to all these different jobs, you can send that message to well over 100 people in a day, like 100 executives or something. Now, if only 1% of them, happens to be hiring right now for someone like you, you'll get one response saying, would you like to have a phone call? Or maybe we should get together. We might have something. We should get together. You know what I mean? You generate one of those in a day after sending out 100 messages. You know what I mean? You could generate one of those every day, right? So that's a lot of leads you can investigate. So anyway, my point is that's what networking looks like for introverts. There's a lot of other ways to do networking, obviously. If you're more extroverted, you can go to events, you can go to job fairs, there's all kinds of things you can do. But for introverts, this is like a real thing. So if you've never been exposed to this, wake up to it. This is why I'm showing stuff like this, because people don't believe me when I say this stuff. Some people think the hidden job market is some kind of conspiracy that doesn't exist. It's like, no, it isn't. I mean, I've built a consulting business being in the hidden job market. The last several jobs I've had going back 15 years have all been in the hidden job market. So it's very real. And I've taught in university, I've helped students tap this and some of them have gotten jobs doing this. Anyway, so wake up to the stuff. Listening to recruiters is a thing. Recruiters know their stuff when it comes to getting a job through a recruiter, certainly. And maybe for other things too. Some of them know a bit, but that's not the only thing at your disposal. So if you're feeling a bit depressed or whatever, you're looking at the posted jobs out there and it's not looking wonderful, just remember that's 20% of all the jobs that are out there. There's another 80%. There's even more jobs than that are hidden, that are not posted publicly. They're there and you could get them. It's just that you won't discover them by looking on the internet on job aggregators and job boards. You have to do direct outreach and other type of activities to surface those jobs, but you can certainly get them even if you know absolutely nobody.